Hey everybody, this is Dusk for Dusk Till Dawn Gaming with another Decision Points video here on the channel. So, one thing that's kind of come up in the last couple days was a comment or two on our competitive Grixis Shadow League, and the matchup in particular that was covered was the Mono White Death and Taxes versus our Grixis Shadow list. I want to take a look at it. Fairly typical Death and Taxes versus Death Shadow deck list. So this is your mono white Death and Taxes list. You've got your Disruption with Ghost Quarters and Tech Edges. You've got your Chef at Dunes, Thalia for Spell Disruption, Blade Splicer for Value, Flicker Wisp, Restoration Angel, Path to Exile, and then in the sideboard the relevant cards are usually Rest in Peace and Mirran Crusader. From a little bit of a spoiler from Game 2, we know our opponent had multiple Mirran Crusaders, so they were very ready for the Grixis Death Shadow matchup. It was our first foray into competitive leagues in a while, so we got a little bit surprised by this build, but, you know, it's what happens when you take a step up sometimes. But what I wanted to focus on was more Game 1, because there was a lot of decisions to be made. Spoiler alert, I didn't play this game very well. There was a lot of small mistakes. So, first off, opening hand. One lander with no cantrips, a bit risky, but we have two Fatal Pushes and a Thoughtseize. So that's what we end up keeping. Opponent mulligan to 6. Plains Aether Vial. Pretty much only one deck that has this. Well, there's a couple different variants, but it's the same deck. It's usually Death and Taxes has this particular opening in Modern. So we start by getting our Watery Grave. Thoughtseize our opponent. They show a hand of Resto Angel, Horizon Canopy, Tech Edge, and Path. We take Path, presuming we're going to be able to land big fish here at some point. Opponent takes the Aether Vial up, plays their Horizon Canopy. We play Flooded Strand. Now, one of the decisions I decided to do here is to crack our Flooded Strand on end step here to avoid running into Aether Vial, vialing in Leonin Arbiter, or if our opponent happens to have even Mind Sensor in the main deck, because they could hit their third land and then flash it in response. So this is one decision point that's kind of small, but fairly relevant here. Go and get our Steam Vents. Opponent gets their Aether Vial on 2. We play out Death Shadow and pass. Death Shadow is only a 1/1 here. Opponent plays Thalia. Now this is the first decision that needs to be made. So when your opponent plays Thalia, it taxes your mana. We have a couple of Fatal Pushes here. I wasn't thinking, so this is my one true 100% punt of the game. This Ghost Quarter should have floated the mana. Choose to go get our Swamp here. So if we would have gotten the Swamp with a floated mana, I could have killed this Thalia, saved us some problems. But, as we'll find out, so I crack Polluted Delta here once again, seeing if our opponent has something like an Aven Mind Sensor here and trying to play around preventing search effects. So we go to 9. Now this life total ends up being very relevant for what happens this turn. So this is the turn in question that kind of was debated, and I definitely needed to go to 9 here to get this Death Shadow up to a 4/4. So 3 mana on Aether Vial causes a whole lot of problems with this deck. Here comes Flicker Wisp. So Flicker Wisp targets our Death Shadow. So I Fatal Push Flicker Wisp here. Now, somebody in the comments argued that I should have gone after Thalia here, knowing that they have Restoration Angel. My argument to that is we're at 9. The Flicker Wisp hits us in 3. So best case scenario, we get Gurmag Angler down here. Our opponent, Restoration Angels, Flicker Wisp, and buys themselves another turn. So we get take 3 this turn, and then they Violin Restoration Angel, and then 6 in the air, we're dead. So Flicker Wisp was the higher value target here. Another thing to note is after we crack this fetch land, which we had to do to be able to play Big Fish this turn, we do not have the ability to trigger Revolt. So outside of our opponent Flicker Wisp being one of our permanents again, we have no control over Fatal Push killing either Flicker Wisp or Restoration Angel. And Thalia, while it is annoying and taxes our mana, is largely negated by the fishies. Fish and Death Shadow both outclass it, so Thalia is a lot easier to manage than Flicker Wisp or Restoration Angel. So this is the decision I took. There are some that disagree with it. Maybe I'm wrong. Sound off in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. Maybe if you guys have played either side of this matchup, tell me what I should have prioritized. But this is the main decision of this. Beyond the screw up with the Ghost Quarter of this game, this was the main decision that I'm focusing on. So, gets our Death Shadow, get it back at the end of turn. Okay, so there was an error here. I did not cast 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I should have cast Gurmag Angler. Now that I'm looking at, Gurmag Angler should have been the cast here. That would have left me with 1 mana up, and I would have had Fish and Death Shadow in play here. So that was a punt. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. I would have had exactly enough to play Gurmag Angler. See all the little things you can see? Now we know our opponent has Restoration Angel here. So if we had Gurmag, how much of a difference would it be here? So we know our opponent's going to Resto Angel, Blink Thalia. Gurmag here, we would have gotten in for... We would have been able to get in for 5 or 4 here, dropping our opponent to 16. So let's keep that in mind as we go to attacks. Yep, there comes Restoration Angel. And then we delve away this turn, leaving a Fatal Push in the yard, which is relevant, but there would have been a Fatal Push in the yard last turn, would there not have been? Yeah, because we delved away 6 cards, so there still would have been... Yeah, we still would have been able to get Fish down last turn. So our opponent would have been at 16 here. Facing down 9 power. Opponent draws Path Exile here. We get our last basic. We get a 6 here, Serum Visions. So this Gurmag would put them to 11 here. This Blood Crypt, which we end up topping. So opponent would be effectively at 11 here. So we're only getting 1 shot use out of Blood Crypt, so we were to cycle Opt here, go to 4 cards in graveyard. So 4 cards in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we were 1 mana short of casting the second Angler this turn. Horizon Canopy, they crack it. Get a Thalia here. Which I guess I should have opted in response to try to find a... No, Fatal Push wouldn't have done anything in this stretch. So we're at 3. Our opponent should effectively be at 11 right here. Opt, end up bottoming a Death Shadow. Pick up a Snapcaster Mage. So this Thalia is taxing us here. This attack here, opponent's at 11, so even if we were to have... The only line we could have taken would have been Temur Battle Rage, and then this turn Snapcaster Temur Battle Rage. But I don't think we would have seen the Snapcaster, and the Thalia plus this red source wouldn't be in play because of the Tech Edge most likely. So end up casting Op, seeing Thought Scour, attacking, they block, and then opponent just kills us with Restoration Angel here. Yep. They're not scared by the bluff of a Terminate. So there were a couple of decision lines that I would have taken differently. I still think killing the Flicker Wisp over Thalia was correct there. But not playing Gurmag Angler was definitely a mistake. So in Modern, the minor details do matter a lot, especially when you're going from the friendly leagues to the more competitive leagues. It's more akin from like going to F&M Magic to like a PTQ or something. So just something to keep in mind. The little decisions matter, especially when your opponent's deck and your deck both operate on fairly small margins. Death and Taxes relies on its synergies and disruption to carry the day, and then Death Shadow, you have to manage your life total and your graveyard and your cantrips and all of that various stuff. So Ghost Quarter was definitely an important play that I missed, and the not casting the Gurmag Angler the turn that I had the 1 black mana up and the 6 cards in the graveyard. So those were my 2 mistakes or punts, as you might call them. And the decision point about Flicker Wisp I think was correct, but maybe someone can give me a counter argument why it was incorrect, especially given the way we didn't have a fetch land at that point in time, or like really anything to trigger Revolt to kill Restoration Angel. Like if we could have killed Restoration Angel, I would have 100% gone kill Flicker Wisp, kill Restoration Angel, and then deal with Thalia, whatever may come. Because Thalia is annoying, but in the end, we can deal with Thalia. Our creatures are bigger than theirs, you know, etc. But what can you do? So that is it for this particular episode of Decision Points. Thanks for tuning in, and hope to catch you guys later here on the channel. This was Dusk for Dust Till Dawn Gaming.